some other roll-ins with Dr. Valentine and welcome to the show, Dr. Valentine.
Thank you very much.
Welcome, welcome. But that forum that we're going to roll later on is about healthcare and all the different alternative medicines that are out there. And give us a little of your history. Give us a little background of your history.
Well, for the last 23 years, I've been fortunate to have been, I guess, initiated out of my control, actually, because I had chronic asthma and heart condition. And at that time, I was going through, I guess, a battery of Western allopathic textures. And I began to get worse and worse, and then I dedicated myself, and I said that if I could find a way to truly heal myself, I would dedicate my life specifically to teaching what I had learned. And sure enough, I began to search, and I ended up at a place called the Tree of Life.
Great.
Yeah, with Kanya Vashon McGee.
What year are we talking about?
Oh, Lord mercy. Talking about the end of 79, 78. And about that time, before that, about 2 years after the time I started my search, that's when I found Kanya. And then from there, John Harrison, myself, Dr. Moore, Brother Yusuf, Pollock, we all were in this Tree of Life situation together. And of course, there were many shoots. And from that point, I helped to establish a place called the Heal Thyself Center with Queen Afua, who we were together for about 5 years. And from that, the offshoot of the Self-Healing Education Temple, Institute for Self-Mastery came into being.
How much does psychic healing have to do?
Well, psychic healing is a euphemism. It's a lot of the ancient healing techniques, a lot of the ancient ways of approaching healing through a total spectrum of principles has been fractionalized into these different types of formats: psychic healing, metaphysical healing, laying on of hands healing, acupuncture healing, herbal healing. They were all one thing. It was a movement, and depending on which technique worked to bring about at least an assistance or comfort to the person, then that particular technique was instituted. But now it's been broken off, branched off, and then solidified into these multifaceted, fragmented ways of looking at the whole being. And it's pretty much my contention that the so-called New Age movement has been responsible for carrying over Western fragmentationalism, for want of a better word, into what I call a plagiarized African cultural concept.
Through healing with herbs?
Well, healing, period, using nature and intelligence, which is very, very, it's bereft in the Western Hemisphere.
The psychic healing.
Yeah, psychic healing
Mind
again.
power.
Yeah.
The power of the will to cure the body.
Well, the will, see, that's the thing. The will now has been perverted in that we believe that when something has occurred on the surface of the body, that we have to do something, and that's the problem. We're not really looking at the fact that by the time you can become aware of something being quote-unquote wrong in your body, the body has already initiated steps to healing itself. We think that because we see a symptom break free on the surface, or we see something happen to our so-called normal way of being, that something is quote-unquote wrong. We've been taught that. But it's not wrong. It's altogether right. And until we change our perception of what health and disease is, not understanding that health and disease are the same thing, that disease is an expression of health. You see, when we get that perception back, we can eliminate all of these money-making ventures that cloak themselves.
So you think the doctors, most of them, invent some of these diseases
Well, I don't believe they invented disease.
Or symptoms, something blown and out of, blown, you know, out of proportion.
Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it. What happens is, because we have been subjected to at least 200 to 300 years of a pharmaceutical type of mentality, that with each generation, we've degenerated. So with each degenerated generation, there is a new expression of that degeneracy. And it looks like a new disease, but it's not new. It's just the body using its intelligence to try to bypass some of man's book learning or education. And now we see so-called diseases coming up where we think that there are different forms of bacteria, new bacteria coming. There's no new bacteria. There is nothing new to the equation called man. What we do in our ignorance, what we tend to do is to force the body to show you its infinite ways of expression. You see. So now doctors find all these new ways, these new toys to invent, to see inside of things. All these new things to inject you and stick in you and all that. And all it's doing is saying, okay, well, now you've tried this didn't work, try something else. Now the body has to show you its dynamic, divine intelligence in another expression. There's nothing new. It's just a perversion of what it is that is already there. And it shows so many different ways, the infinite, the multifaceted way that the body can approach to its own healing.
So all these healing processes are in natural herbs. And what are some of the herbs that you suggest to heal?
Well, let me first clarify. I want to clarify for the audience.
Okay.
If it's at all possible. I don't know which camera am I in. Am I in that one?
Wherever the light's showing.
Oh, right, okay.
Which one is that?
Herbology, that's all right. Herbology, the word pharmaceutical or pharmacy comes from the word pharmakon, which means magical herbs. So essentially, if you go down to your pharmacy and you think that you're going to get yourself you're going to a magician who's put together certain types of herbs in the laboratory to give you an effect.
They're medically sealed?
Exactly. Okay. Well, the idea is behind herbs, you cannot heal with herbs. And that is an illusion by our brothers and sisters. Herbs, you would not take herbs and put it on your plate to eat. Therefore, a herb is a medicinal, which means it's toxic by nature. And that the way we have found out in our ingenious, we have tended to use certain toxins of plants in order to initiate certain effects. Now, one of the effects is an amelioration of symptoms. So if you have an understanding of how the herbs work, you can ameliorate the symptoms in specific areas of the body, but you do not heal the cause. You see? You do not heal the cause. The cause is not something that you can eliminate by forcing the symptom to be quieted. The symptom is an expression of the work that the body now reacts to as a result of what you have caused. And now, it's very difficult for people who...
Back up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Say that again.
Okay. The symptom is an expression of cause. There is cause and effect. Let's just use the word cause and effect.
Okay.
Effect is nothing more than an expression of an invisible cause. What you see as an effect has an invisible cause, or something that you cannot perceive immediately.
All right.
So when you understand that anything that you can possibly see expressed on the body as an imbalance is an effect.
Right. The body
not
is
a cause.
fighting.
Right. The body itself,
Is fighting.
through intelligence,
Right.
is fighting whatever it is it needs to fight
Right.
to adjust itself back into balance. When you take herbs of any kind, you may ameliorate symptoms and thus bring temporary comfort to the person suffering, but you have somehow deterred the body's efforts because the body's own intelligence has set the precedent for how the healing will come about. It selects the area where it will eject or express the symptom. You don't.
All right, let's take an example, which is one of the biggest problems today, is cancer. How would you explain cancer?
Cancer, and see, that's the thing. Cancer is not terminal.
When when the doctors get involved, it gets
There you go. Now you understand.
I always believe that.
You don't start getting terminal with cancer.
Say, you know.
There it is. You don't start getting terminal with AIDS or cancer or any of these so-called until they get hold of you. Now I'm not dealing with.
Now you've said a mouthful now.
Oh yeah. You know I've always been having the record to do that. What happens is that there is when the doctors begin to interfere with a process that nature has actually expedited.
Are you saying AIDS is involved?
Well, yeah, I don't say AIDS doesn't even exist, but I'm just using that because the general public believes it exists. So I have to go to the place where the belief structure is to show you that when you believe in things you don't understand, what Stevie says, you suffer. Because superstition ain't the way.
We're in for a real lesson today. I mean, you see many guests come on here and school me live on television, and Reverend Dr. Valentine.
Yeah.
What is your first name?
Philip. You can call me Phil too, or brother, or whatever. All that nonsense that I did to achieve what I did is, everybody's all blown up on that.
But I want them to hear your credentials.
Okay.
So that you know that from when, you're a religious reverend.
Well, I've gone and gotten my credentials from the state for a purpose.
Okay.
But I am what is known as a church at large.
But you're
a
Islam?
minister. No,
Islam?
not Islam, not Christian, not Buddhist. I am actually dealing with the Kemet or what you call the Kemetic principle of the mystery system that all religions
We're going
come
back
from.
to Hermes Trismegistus, perhaps?
Trismegistus, yes. But that's again the Western version of him. That's Jehudi you're talking about.
Jehudi.
Yes, he was the patriarch, nectar, or the god, or the principle of healing, long before the so-called.
We're getting heavy today.
Oh yeah, we're getting heavy. We got to get heavy. We got to get heavy.
Now explain Hermes Trismegistus.
Okay, Hermes Trismegistus was the Greek appellation, Hermes. And it was based on Mercury. That's where you get the staff and what you call the caduceus, being the principle that doctors use, which has nothing to do with medical science. Right. Has nothing to do with medical science, because medical science, everybody who uses the word medical science should use a question mark behind it.
So it's all about mysticism and magic.
Well, magic, mysticism is science to us. What we knew as science, they now call magic, they call mysticism, metaphysics. We understood all sciences, whether esoteric or exoteric,
Right. Okay.
to be
Explain that
science.
so people understand.
Esoteric is hidden.
Hidden.
Exoteric means that which is on the surface as phenomena.
Right.
The
Hermetically sealed means
essentially what is secret or what isn't known immediately until you have gone into intuition. I-N-T-U-I-T, get into it. That's what they're saying. So your intuition is essentially the African scientist or the melanated scientist use intuition as his first raison d'etre, to be. In other words, I know I am that I will be, so that whatever now I am expressing has to be a part of me. So I go from that premise. I go from what I feel. I trust instinct, which is the highest in man. You
that's
see
the God that
instinct.
lies within.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you see instincts in animals, and you say, well, the animal has an instinct. Instinct is an expression of divine intelligence.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
So if I am supposed to be the crown of all creation, my instinct is actually a direct link-up with what is supposed to be called the Creator.
Right.
We in the Western society, or the Western Eurocentric society, does not trust instinct.
In other words, they don't believe they're children of God.
No, they're from Missouri. If I don't see it, it don't exist.
Right.
See, so everything is exoteric, it's on the surface. Now they're trying to get all hip and hype, because I watch Nova, and they see European scientists are now going into all these, we found this on the cell. If you go back and study the ancient texts, you'd see that all of this is available.
Now, ancient texts meaning Hermes Trismegistus goes back to what, 10,000 BC?
Well, no, we go back 52,000 years. The pyramids are at least 52,000 years old.
52,000.
52,000, that's correct.
And we go back to Atlantis then.
Well, we go before Atlantis. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, just using his teaching, said we're 66 trillion years old.
We're telling people something they haven't heard before.
The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said you're 66 trillion years old, and he was just given a conservative estimate.
Oh, so folks have been around a long time.
Oh, man. And that's the thing. See, here you are, Honorable Elijah Muhammad giving you a glimpse, saying you're 66 trillion years old. Now, all of that, sojourning through all of creation, bringing yourself to different levels and dimensions of consciousness, just to end up with a 9-to-5 job? Think about that. Now, you really now don't understand as man and as woman how low we have degenerated.
Well, the problem in the disease is greed.
Yeah, disease, you see, disease and health are the same thing.
I mean, the mental disease of greed.
Yeah, these are what they call the 7 deadly sins in Catholicism, right?
Right.
7 deadly sins means 7 deadly modes of thought. Because as you understand, thought is the thread of divine mind as it begins to weave the tapestry of life into existence. So thought is essentially our inheritance, that which was given by the Father to the prodigal son. That's the wealth
Which
that
we
was
call
asked
our
by matter.
prodigal son.
Right.
Okay.
That principle means that matter asks for some of its inheritance so that it may go out and express in the world. That's what that meant in the Bible. Now, when you find out that everything in the world is illusion, you try to come back to that which you actually were, in essence, and that was that thing that they call the Father, this prodigal son, you and I, going out and living in the flesh and dealing with all of the different sensations of the flesh.
Right.
We now understand that the flesh is terminal,
Right.
that there are only certain things you could do, but the only way you're going to be able to take the flesh to the next threshold of consciousness is when you return to self, to that light, to that spark, to the
And
Father
realize
within.
that the universe is mental.
Oh, yeah. Well, the universe is not just mental. See, that's something that the Greeks have focused.
I thought that's what...
Yeah,
Hermes
yeah, but you see, you got to remember who was actually interpreting him. The Western dynamic has a calcified pineal in the beginning, so there's about so much information going to get through.
Trismegistus to the people.
Trismegistus means the 3 times great.
Right.
You can't get no better than that.
And the book of the Kabbalion?
Well, the Kabbalion is one of the books of Hermes Trismegistus. You have the Poimander as well, the Poimander, and you have the Virgin of the World. And in the Virgin of the World, Asclepius, who is supposed to be Imhotep, is the one that was taught by Hermes Trismegistus, and you have a dialogue going on.
Now wait, Imhotep, who built the first 7-step pyramid.
Right, right.
What year are we talking about?
Well, with
Imhotep.
Well, Imhotep, they said, went back to the time Saqqara was, you figure, you see, we can't go by the European time zone, and so you have to go back to about 5,000, 4,000 BC.
4,000 BC.
Yeah, well, that's what they say.
Okay.
You have to remember that everything that was now excavated was under sand
Right.
due to a great nuclear holocaust that happened in Kemet at that time.
A nuclear...
Oh, yeah, there was a nuclear war.
What year are we talking about?
Oh, man, we're talking about 150,000 years ago. And we're talking about one that happened, I believe, just about 75,000 years ago, 80,000 years ago.
80,000 years?
Yeah. What you call the Natures or the gods, you see all these different symbols, they're simply offices of us that used to be existing. They say we come from Sirius, the Sirius star system.
Sirius mystery.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
the Dogon.
Well, yeah, that's your hometown, bro. That's the word to us, man. You don't realize that you're a space traveler. You think you're here from this? This ain't nothing, man. This is a neighborhood we've been in here. We just the ghetto. Earth is the ghetto of the solar
I used to
system.
tell people about this. I read the Sirius Mystery back in '76.
Right.
And the Sirius Mystery is the story of the Dogons who supposedly have been visited by extraterrestrials
Right.
and receive all this information about this solar system called Sirius A and B,
They say B.
which
right.
is supposedly the beginnings of creation.
Well, not the beginnings of creation, the beginnings of our consciousness time zone.
Whoa.
Right.
Robert
See,
K.G. Temple's book?
Excuse me?
Robert K.G. Temple.
No, not familiar with it.
Not the Sirius Mystery?
Oh, no, you're talking about the Serious Mystery.
Yeah.
I'm not talking the book.
The book K.G. Temple.
Well, no,
it was a Nova special way back in '76.
right, that's what I'm saying. But I'm saying no, not that. Well, let's get out of that. Because remember, every time we look for something that the European gives us, it is deficient. It is always deficient. Don't go to the European's historicity for anything. You have to read between the
Where are we
lines.
going to find the information then?
Well, you're going to have to start digging in. The best place for you to go to the closest kind of information is by a man called Hilton Hotimer. You get all 55 of his folios, and you will be closer to the truth than any of all of these things that these Europeans are writing. And only a few of them may touch on it. Very few. One guy might touch on it was a guy who wrote a book. Oh, boy, let me get that. His name is Graham. And he wrote the falsities of the Bible. Falsities or the
Didn't you once tell me
hoaxes of the
that
Bible.
Jesus Christ was a myth?
Yeah, a total myth. The Jesus Christ is a myth. All religion is based on myth. But it's a solar myth. It's dealing with the solar system. In other words, the procession through the equinoxes, the 12 signs of the zodiac, the 12 apostles, everything that you're dealing with that comes to us now as religion was once science. And until we get out of the religious hypnosis that we're in, we will never transcend the threshold of the present consciousness time zone that we are locked down in.
But that's my whole basis in the belief in Jesus and being Christ-like and being a child of God and wanting to do all the righteous things that Jesus did, wanting to be Jesus-like.
Well, why can't you be, Gilchrist-like?
Well, that's what well, I got Christ in my name anyway, so
I'm just saying now, you may have Christ in your name, but let's just say, why
That's
can't
why I
you
chose that
understand?
road.
Your mother already taught you all the virtues
Oh,
you
yeah.
need. You don't need anyone to lead you in virtue. In other words, the problem with us is that we are too dependent upon someone else's words to give us some sort of direction. Your direction has already been put into your genetic coding.
But you're throwing
For your mother.
a wrench into everybody.
Oh, yes.
Solid
Been my
belief.
job for the last 20 years, brother.
Well, you know, when people are cussing you, I hope nobody's cussing them.
Well, they can cuss at me. I've had them. I've had hecklers from the audience, and I welcome hecklers. All of them.
I was trying to have Professor Small on.
Yeah, he's out of
good
town.
brother.
Good brother. Good brother.
He's always educating.
Oh, man. See, the thing about it is that the human consciousness threshold, which means that we get up, we got a job, we go partying, we eat, all of that is an agreement. That's a consciousness agreement based upon a behavioral code that you now have ingrained within the cells. The cellular structure is dealing with information, and it is dealing with a specific coded amount of what is a word that you can use? Not instructions. The cells are following a specific biological set of instructions that it can do only based upon how high your consciousness of yourself is. So whatever you are in consciousness, your cells now set the structure of reality for you.
That's why I mentioned psychic healing.
Well, I'm taking it beyond that. Because I'm talking about not even having to get sick.
By your thought process.
Yes. Essentially, your human consciousness threshold is now so stultifying and suffocating that disease is breaking out all over because we refuse to dump all of the old programming that the cells have been given for the last, 2,000 years in our madness? For 2,000 years, we have been operating within a specific concept structure that the cells are trying to break free from now. Even your weather patterns of your planet have been going mad because you refuse.
You act like you're not from here now.
Well, I'm not. That might have gotten away. That might have gotten away. That's right.
Oh, man.
All right, so I thought
You're here now, man.
Yeah,
Come on. Brother, where you going, man?
Listen, I can't deal with this kind of now, because sometimes you brothers and sisters who operate on another threshold know what I'm speaking about.
Well, I'm trying to keep up.
No, you ain't keeping up. The fact that you called us together, the fact that you're in the circle, you're there.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? The fact is that we are now trapped in a set of instructions that predate, our reality zone is based upon a set of instructions that we've been given for the last, say, 500-600 years. We have not been allowed to break free from it based on the education system, based on religion, based on the principle of medical practice. All of these have kept us stultified. Now the cells are rebelling. The cells are rebelling now because they now are in a whole consciousness, cosmic dynamic that is forcing us to change. The fact that our solar system is being moved from where it is to be triangulated and positioned into a whole other galactic alignment with the central core consciousness shows that we're saying, well, scientists are saying, oh my God, a whole new planet just came out of nowhere. No, a whole new planet didn't come out of nowhere.
Coming around on a cycle.
We're coming around to where it was. In other words, the whole universe is being shifted, being changed, so that now a whole other light spectrum is being given to us. And that consciousness is forcing us to have to change the way we think.
So the universal cycle is something like 100, 200,000 years in the cycle?
Well, in the cycle, for our limited zone cycle, you say, for instance, about 2,520 years is one cycle going through one of the gates, what you call the signs of the zodiac.
Now, 12 gates.
Yeah, the 12 gates.
Ah,
each one of the gates that has a specific tonality that forces certain music to be heard, which then becomes a subtonal instigator of your awareness.
Okay.
So you begin to feel things.
Well, how is it that you got out of, how is it that you were able to reach those other cycles?
Well, again,
because you've been here before?
Well, we've all
Are you
been
from
here.
the planet?
Oh, well, I've been here before. Let's not get into all that private stuff now. Let's just say I'm enjoying the visit. With all the madness, I'm enjoying my visit here.
I sort of feel that I'm from your planet, too, because I've always thought this way.
Yeah.
I've always thought this whole nonsense here is silly.
See, why didn't the planet realize this? For instance, we're over there bombing the heck out of Kosovo. I mean, everything is blowing up in smoke. I mean, they're putting now depleted uranium. They exhausted an arsenal. Check this out. They exhausted an arsenal of bombs at 1 million apiece. They exhausted it. Those bombs are made of what is known as depleted uranium, which means that it's toxic by nature. The debris, as it explodes, is toxic by nature. That now goes into nature. That uranium is in nature now, all over Kosovo, all over Yugoslavia. It's all bombed out now. There's pollution there that is going to stay there for years to come, even though they go in with a new Marshall Plan. Now,
they're
check
polluting
it
the
out.
planet.
Oh, yeah, but check it out. Guess how the planet responds. What just happened in Oklahoma? See, people don't even get the relationship to what happened.
Yeah.
There was a Force 5 tornado that just hit Oklahoma.
Oh, okay.
And what did it do? If you look at Oklahoma and look at Yugoslavia, it looked the same way.
You reap what you sow?
You reap what you sow. They don't understand that you cannot mess with the dynamics of change that is taking place today. They are going to destroy themselves. We don't have to even lift a gun. You don't have to do nothing. Just by the nature of what is the end time, you are going to destroy yourself if you do anything contrary to the new paradigm consciousness that's coming in. And it's showing you, and it's like instantaneous. As soon as you do something on mass scales to disrupt the plan, boom, it will balance itself someplace else. And sure enough, this is not the end of it. Matter of fact, 2 years ago, we predicted that there will be 4, 6, and 7 hurricanes that will be coming in the Midwest. And it will be wiping out everything in the Mid-Belt.
Is this God's plan? I mean, is he, well, I think of God as an extraterrestrial as far as... I mean,
I said no. We are God folded over on itself.
Right.
We are God folded over on itself. We are the better part of God, to tell you the truth. If you really want to look at God, look at Oklahoma right now. That's God.
No, I'm confused. I'm confused.
Listen, I bet you there were some good Christians that just got wiped out, didn't they? They prayed every day, didn't they?
Well, the one child, one young lady, the guy blew her away because she said she believed in God.
Well, listen to what I'm saying to you. Look at...
But that's the devil. I mean, that's the devil according to my brain.
No, it ain't the devil. There is no such thing. Let's get that out of there. You have to understand that we have to grow up. We got to get out of the kindergarten mentalities that we are living in. There's a God and a big boogeyman with a tail. We got to get out of that, man. It's time for the whole species to grow up. This has been the way that we have been taught to think, that there's a boogeyman and that there's a good man, especially where he looks. He's white, he's Caucasian with a white beard, and he's looking down at you. If you're good and you eat your spinach, you come through the pearly gates. That's a lot of nonsense. We got to get out of that mentality, and that's why your cells are having such problems breaking the threshold to the new paradigm.
I'm fine.
Because you can't bring that in. No, I'm just, you're not saying you. I'm talking to everybody out there. You can't bring this kind of stupid mentality into the next, millennium time.
You have to be open to...
You have to understand that you are God.
Right.
You are the expression. The fact that you are, there is the I am that I am. And that is the point where there is the unknowable. That the I am that I am is unknowable. Now, you are sharing in a personality of the I am that I am. You are sharing in the I am that will be personality. Okay. So now in that beingness, I am expressing the fact that I am God folded over on itself. I am God realized. I am the part that God does not know of itself. Perfection is not all that it's cracked up to be, because perfection is death. Anything that's perfect does not exist. It ceases to exist. That's why the garden was destroyed.
But the spirit goes on after you die.
Yeah, but that's the spirit. The spirit is actually the invaginating substance that keeps perfection in the state of perfecting, which is different. Now, the reason why Adam was kicked out of... Does anybody know why Adam was kicked out of Eden?
Because he followed what his old lady told him.
Yeah, well, see, now, wait a minute. Now, check it out. See, now, of course, the women were damned, oh, they're one's temptress. What a nonsense. The feminine principle is what is fertilized. She, Eve, represented all matter. Now, in the Garden of Eden, the Garden of Eden symbolized the reflection of perfection. That is, all things that were perfect. But if Adam stayed in perfection, Adam would die. Adam could not move forward in matter while perfect, because matter is a perfecting principle. It does not perfect.
So when you're perfect, you have to disease yourself in order to grow?
No. So what happened was Eve, or the serpent, which is essentially the active principle in matter, the serpent now goes to the material plane. See, get out of the physicalization. Look at it as a principle. The energy had to go in and fructify, or at least agitate matter, so that matter may now give that divine principle, which is God searching for itself, Adam, a chance to understand what the other part, the nether world, the nether regions of itself are all about. So Adam had to be kicked out. Adam had to leave. Eve never left.
Like the prodigal son theory?
Ah, see, that's what I'm saying. It's being played out. Every book of the Bible is just a repeat of the first one.
So the prodigal son?
Yeah. So when you look at...
Explain the prodigal son. So, I mean, I'm just catching on myself.
The Bible is deep, but it's being perverted. You were looking at Grimm's fairy tales. You got Mother Goose telling you a lot of nonsense. The Bible is a book.
Now, you can say this as a reverend now.
Oh, yeah, I'm a minister.
Okay.
But I'm not one of your regular ministers. If you see one of my particular programs, you'll know that I'm raw. I tell it like it is. It's like Red Fox talking about what's going on. It's not just, oh, come and be holier than thou. You have to destroy all of this perception that anything outside of yourself is the principle of divinity.
Can we have your number? So make sure, can you get his number so we make sure that we have, so you can call information. You got the TEDx on. You got the TEDx on.
You say it? Okay, the number is 516-565-4489. And you could reach me there after 11 in the days, and sometimes late at night. I'm usually up.
All right. Do it one more time.
Okay.
You writing it down?
Area code 516.
Write it down for me.
Area code 516-565-4489. 565-4489.
You guys got that?
They don't. I'll just say it again. No big thing.
All right. Well, I'll make sure we get it on the character generator.
Yeah, 516-565.
We got 20 minutes. Okay.
4489.
We got plenty of time.
Yeah, we got plenty of time? Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
20 minutes.
I like this. Yeah, this is the way
This is great. Right.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
As you see, it's one of my normal casual conversations with my guests.
This is the way casual conversations got to be.
The way, we just said a whole lot.
Oh, man, we ain't even began to scratch the surface yet.
Now, as far as
I mean, I wonder how confused people might be about what we were talking about. I mean, I happen to have read some of these books, so I understand what you're talking about. Well, how would you break it down in the simplest form? Because you said so many things that, like the ancient Egyptians, I don't know how many people really follow the conversation.
Yeah. Well, we got to first stop calling them Egyptians, because that's Greek. Egyptus is what it was called.
Okay.
And you could either call it Alkebulan, which is the continent, or you can call it Kemet.
That's what we all
right?
understand it.
And you could call Upper and Lower Tam-Meri and Tam-Nehisi, Upper and Lower Egypt, quote unquote. Now these are the different terms. Once you start
Now let's get to the
in,
complexion of these people to start
man.
with.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Once you start clocking in on the names, see, the reason why you can't clock into your ancestors' spirituality is because your language was robbed from you. Your language was the triangulating aspect of the word that connected you to the inner word, which was your genetic complex. In your genetic complex, you have a whole computer breakdown of all the ways your ancestors envisioned the Most High.
That's why I have these feelings that I've been in ancient Egypt before.
Ancient Chem, yes. Now, the idea is that your genetic coding, it has your ancestors in your bloodstream, which is a liquid crystal, by the way. That liquid crystal is triangulated with the sun's rays, rock. And the light of the sun through your melanin, which is secreted into the keratones, which is the surface of your skin, that melanin is the dark matter. Okay? That is the dark matter that light communicates to itself with. They say from the darkness came the light, but the light needed to go back into the darkness in order for God to recognize itself. Now, I know you almost think I'm crazy out there with what I'm saying, but see, this tape is going to be very, very important to those who are now just waking up, because they're going to say, oh, yeah,
No, we're live. We're live.
Oh, we're live. Well, I hope we're live. I'm breathing you
As
out.
we speak, we can't edit any of this stuff out.
Oh, even better. So what we have to understand is that in the genetic coding, this is why Western science is so interested in dealing with genetics, because they understand that that is the doorway to your escape of this consciousness time zone.
Wow.
So to keep you in lockdown, what I call light code lockdown, because all information comes on vectors and on specific alignments of light. And the sun is your consciousness calibrator, your cosmic consciousness calibrator that is aligned to your awareness, or what your awareness will be. So your melanin is very important. That's why they're going to be given melanin. You're going to see a lot of new things where white folks are going to be able to put dark stuff on there because they're going to need to be able to
protect them from cancer.
Not only cancer. See, the information is coming as cancer, because the only reason white folks are getting cancer is because they refuse to change the way they live.
It's not the lack of melanin?
It's consciousness. See, the cancer is a consciousness.
Okay.
Cancer is based. You can only catch cancer if you have an intrinsic germ of selfishness. That's right. Cancer's basis, for its mental basis, its consciousness basis is selfishness. That's right.
Wow.
See, so when you begin to understand that consciousness has its own form of expressing or cleansing itself, you begin to understand. So the melanin that we have now, we as dark folks eat just as bad. So we die from the same thing.
Okay.
We have adopted certain behaviorism. We die from the same thing. Now you say, well, then they just came through Africa and destroyed everything. Well, see, that was the end of time. The people that the Caucasians saw in Africa, in South America, and these places, those are the ones who stayed behind. Those are the ones who stayed to keep the planet, this penal colony, for a place for the souls and the energies to come through to purify itself. This is what this whole thing is. This is a penal colony.
Right.
A consciousness penal colony.
Okay.
It's a place where souls go to work through certain debts that they feel they had to pay.
I've always felt that.
Yeah. So essentially, you as a Melanite, without your melanation, this earth would have been destroyed a long time ago. The suffering needed a specific sieve of elevated consciousness.
Is that why black people are so
Oh,
spiritual?
see, that's what I'm saying. It ain't something we should be doing right now, but it's something that we stay back to do to keep alignment, consciousness alignment. Because you see, this place, this Earth is it's like out in the boondocks of the galaxy.
Okay.
This is like the place where, you know, like where they first found, you know, where oh my God, we reached California. Well, that's where Earth is. Earth is like way out on the cusp of a whole community of beings, light beings. And this is where some of them get sent.
How'd you find out all this? Because
Well,
you're from out there? I mean, you
Yeah, we
said
got
our
to connect. You know, when I get a chance to sit down and talk to brothers and sisters about all of this, that it's very difficult that if you could just go, if you could take a trip to Kim, and this is, I think, because I've been in South America with I'm Native also, Native American, so I took that
Okay.
first.
All right.
My next thing is to go to the Kemetic. But studying the ancient Mayans and the Aztecs is studying
Yeah.
the Kemites
Right.
the same way.
Okay.
And what happens is, if you study where the Sphinx is facing, you will see a whole map that was set down by the higher light lords for you to read. The star configuration, this is something deep for you all out there. The star configurations under which your planet lives is each a grade of light that has the stewardship over a specific level of your consciousness. So Alpha Draconis, you see different star systems, different planetary alignments are there to triangulate light that comes in different vectors, and it bounces. It kind of does this, if you could see it on a higher level.
How does the Sirius mystery affect it?
Well, the Sirius is a place. Sirius is a station, a light station. That light now has a specific, the quantum context of Sirius has a specific light coding that it emanates. So if you could not just take the solar system itself and then collectivize it as one dynamic, it's giving off a specific tone, a specific quality of frequency of energy. So you go to another one. You go to Alpha Dracon, Alpha Ceti. That is giving off another tone. So if you do all the tones of the different galaxies in our star system, you will see that each one of them are hitting a specific sound that regulates your consciousness dynamic. And that it's not just the sun that you're picking up waves and energy from, but every time you look up in those stars are feeding you certain pieces of information. That's why in the city, you can't get no information from out there. You got to go up there to the wide open spaces where you can see that tapestry, where you can interface with all that star information, the star light information that is being given to you.
The first time I thought I was really talking to God, I was in the South Pacific, 2,000 miles south of Hawaii.
Yes.
I was on an aircraft carrier called the Princeton. We were down there, sent down there to set up H-bombs,
Yeah.
right? I'm 2,000 miles south of Hawaii in the middle, walking the flight deck. You know? And it was like I had the 8 to 12, so about 11:30, I could feel, you know, I could look right in front of me and see a star.
Yeah.
And
If you can reach out and touch it.
yeah, and I was so amazed at everything. There's so many stars in the galaxy. And I know somebody was talking to me.
Yeah.
I was spooked.
But that's what I'm saying. The talking is the stars' alignment, giving you the information from the inside. That same experience had to me near to the North Pole, because I was there near the North Pole. And when you see stars, you want to see stars?
Yeah.
It's like clear as crystal. Just like
Right.
looking up at crystal and how you take that light, take a crystal, and bounce it off that crystal, because that's what stars are. Stars are triangulated crystalline elements of light that give you information.
Okay.
You see? Now, what scientists are doing is that they're breaking down all this, we've seen subparticles, and we're looking at this thing, and this is so beautiful. Look at Hubble giving us all of this. There must be life there. We don't know if there's life out there. Come on. These people are in kindergarten, and because the eyes, their senses are so diminished, they need something like a Hubble telescope to look out there. But the Dogon was mapping the sky without it.
Right.
Your eyes are man's eyes. As man's eyes, if an eagle can see miles away, why is it that you, the crown of creation, you need glasses to see just in front of you?
I see it through the third eye.
Why is it that a turtle can live 500 years and you drop dead at 60? There's something wrong with the strain today. And that's the problem with us. The way we are taking, or the way we are looking at how life works, the way we are giving the autonomy, the spiritual and anatomical autonomy over to someone else to do the healing, instead of understanding that the divine spark, that light is already existing within you. That's the reason why they will never heal one disease in the Western Hemisphere. And if anyone adopts the Western dynamic, now, I'm not taking away the fact that if you get shot, get your hands cut off, they can sew it back on. They do a wonderful job. But that just shows you that Western medicine...
What about polio?
No. Let me just get this. Western medicine, right, medical technology and military technology work hand in hand. See, Western technology in military technology goes and does all the damage and forces medical technology to keep up. So medical technology has adopted the euphemism of military technology, the war on cancer, the war on AIDS. So how you wage war on a living principle like disease, unless you are so ignorant of yourself that you don't understand that the waging of the war is waging a war against the very healing properties that nature is showing you.
You said AIDS doesn't exist?
AIDS does not exist. AIDS essentially is something that they took a catalog of. It used to happen to hemophiliacs, people who would deal with, who had hemophilia, blood diseases, or people who had done a real sick thing of taking someone else's blood crystal consciousness and sticking it into their veins in the form of, what do you call that? When somebody takes one blood, was a transfusion.
Oh, transfusion.
Now, that is a sick practice because the consciousness of one person in that blood is being pumped in. That's why they need to do. That's why they need to knock your consciousness out so that you will accept the other person's consciousness. So they give you factor 7, factor 8 to suppress you, and that's when you catch AIDS. You see, now you done found out that, now check this out. I found out from a doctor friend of mine that we did the AIDS program together, and this is something that the people need to know. That do you know that everybody will test positive for AIDS if they do not dilute the blood in the testing? Now, AIDS is the only, HIV testing is the only testing that you have to dilute the blood some 600 or 800 times. You have to dilute the blood first before you pass it through the screening, and then they tell you, based upon the diluted substance, whether you have HIV.
Now, you're telling us that most of these tests that they give are
unreliable. So I could be taking my blood now and be tested positive. How many people have died with the perception that they've been dying from a disease because they got some nonsense given to them from a laboratory?
Right.
Remember, a physician pronounces sentence upon you, and before you went to see the physician, you said you might have gone for a test. After the test, he tells you got HIV, your whole world changes.
Right.
Why? Because of the word.
You kill yourself.
Yeah. He judges you disease. And based upon everything they tell you, they give you all these suffering people in there, and they give you all death. Oh, use a condom, which, by the way, brothers and sisters, the condom is one of the deadliest things on the planet because it has all that crap on it. The talc. Talc is asbestos. Huh? And sisters now are having a astronomical amount of vaginal problems. Yes, cancer. Vaginal and uterine cancer is caused by the use of prophylactics. This is deadly. It's sickening, man. The way I watch my brothers and sisters, brother, go up there, yo, give me a stogie.
What's the answer? What's the answer? What should we be eating? Give us a solution.
Oh, my God. How do you give you the solution? Sol comes from the word sol, which is the sun. Solution?
Okay.
So sol, ut, means itself, I think it came from the Nordic. The word ut itself has another meaning, and ion is an ion. So sol ut shun essentially is to tell you to start opening up the inner light that's inside of your head, that sunlight that's inside of your head. The solution is for us to
that's what I call psychic healing.
Okay, well, arose by any other name. The solution to situations that we're dealing with now, as far as eating, intelligence must come into bear. If you can, people, simple way to do it. Try to bring yourself to a level where you're eating 50% raw, 50% cooked.
Yeah.
Now, if you can do that, say within a month to 2 months, 3 months, however long it takes you, don't get yourself on any cycle, all this nonsense. We're going to go on a diet. I put on weight. By the time summer comes, I'm going to be as small as a rail. I don't care about that. I know I have a specific tide. There's high tide and there's low tide. Okay. When you now change the equation so that by the time, say, summer around August comes around and you're eating 85 to 90% raw and then 10% cooked.
Right. all the good
Never
enzymes
get
from
sick.
live food.
Oh,
Right.
you never get sick. You
Right.
never get disease. You don't need no vitamins. All that crap, it's all garbage. It's all garbage. It is a market that has been given to doctors. Now, another thing, brothers and sisters, need to know, all of your vitamin markets, all of the markets that you have for alternative herbs and all this, are all under the auspices of the pharmaceutical cartel. So every time you think you go into a health food store to get some sort of alternative situation, the doctor's gotten their kickback as well. Because they understood 10 years ago that when we were starting to get into the field understanding about herbs, that the people who were in the quote-unquote alternative field were making $5.6 billion a year. So you know they had to come in like the mafia and get their cut. So you had to understand that it's all about the money. Your body is a commodity. Your ignorance is the fuel to that commodity.
And selfishness causes cancer.
Selfishness causes cancer. Let me break down the body in metaphysics. Psychic healing. Your lungs deal with remorse, pride. Your liver deals with anger, hatred. Your kidneys deal with fear and frustration. Your heart deals with the inability to solve problems after you've had them. Also, selfishness is based around the heart, too. You get a stroke, that's based on selfishness. Okay?
Yeah.
There's so many things that your thought processes can do to show these expressions, this misalignment of energy.
We got 3 minutes. So
3 minutes. What can I do? What can I do for you? What can I do you for?
Well, keep on. I mean, you have to come back.
Well,
You
yeah,
have
I'd
do
love to
another
come
show.
back because it's time that we start getting these things out. And I would love to get into one-to-one with any of these people over vaccination myths, over the AIDS myth, and the fact that if we could get people, if you had a call-in show like we used to do on Gary Bird's show before
We'll do
they
it
put a
next time.
shutdown
We'll
on
do it
that.
next time.
Yeah, where we used to speak about this natural healing in such a way that the people had immediate things to do when they got home. First thing I tell them to throw all the eggs out and all the crap. One day the medical association tells you this is no good. Then the next day they tell you eggs and beef is good. This is the meat market paying them to say, okay, yo, we're doing bad over here. We losing people over here. Boom. It's all about the business.
There's something wrong with eggs?
Yeah. Eggs is chicken ovaries. And the chicken ovaries, the chicken is a scavenger. That means it eats anything off the ground. So you are what you eat.
Right.
So you have to eat of the fruit. Look at your Bible. All you people who are into the Bible. Eve told you can eat only of the fruit of the tree. All right? Why is the fruit better? Because the fruit takes the least amount of energy when you digest. If you eat heavy foods, your body has to sacrifice vital force in order to digest, catabolize, anabolize, metabolize. What happens is when you eat foods that are not prepared for you by nature, your body has to do other things in order to get it prepared. So if you eat heavy starches, what your body has to do is to sacrifice an insulin hormone in order to break it into the sugar that your body can use. If you eat too much and your body does not get the proper nutrition, you end up with things called like diabetes, hypertension. All of these are expressions of what you put into your system. And what you put into your system is a direct reflection of how you think.
With about 2 minutes to go, I like to, if we can get his, I hope we got the number. We got the number up? Hopefully we got the number. That's,
565-4489, that's the one.
I want as many people to call as possible. So that enjoyed the show, that want more information. And
I do private consultations as well.
great.
And
Are they expensive?
Well, no, I'm not expensive. If you want to go with me for 30 or 40 days, hey, that's my time.
Well,
we'll
another
work something
show,
out.
another couple of shows, I think I'll be able to keep up.
No problem. You know what I asked you to do? It's good when people ask certain questions because there's such a pool that I have to pull from that it's better to keep me on track about what it is you really want to know.
Well, did I ask some good questions?
Oh, you asked an exceptional question. You took it from the metaphysical
Yeah.
to the physical.
Yeah, that's what we have to do. I think it's a learning process.
Because those contracts are adhesion contracts. You don't have any excuses. You can march till your feet bleed about coming to your freedom. You have a quiet contract that you know nothing about that says, I got the excuse, I have the right to pull your behind over, I have a right to Rodney King your upside your head, I have a right to do whatever I want with my state property. You are property. Therefore, your children are property. when you go into a delivery room, you deliver your child to the state. What is a birth certificate? It is a description of the property you gave forth in the delivery room.
Tell it, brother. Tell it. Tell it.
So what is it? They tell you the type, the color, the eyes, the mother, everything. It's a description of the property. It is a chattel instrument. That's what they use in the birth control the certificate originated with cattle. That's how they dealt with the stock, to know which one was the best to sell. Something I learned after I had a little fight with BCW. My child, the two came, and they came in. They sent you politically correct agents. One was black, one was Puerto Rican. Now, any of you who know what my face looked like, I had my pyramids up, I have all of my powers, all my symbology, and when they walked in, nothing but candles were burning, and my son never went to school until he was 9. This was his mother's idea to send him into school so he could acclimatize. I didn't want it. But he went in there, and Spirit showed me he don't belong in there. So when they walked in, my son, first thing she said was, go get your parents. My son looked at her. And she said, well, you know, I taught him, respect your elders. Well, when your elders don't respect you, you don't give a damn what they say to you. So my son knew to just do this, because I told him the importance of the moment. We sat there, and he had to know his ups and downs. He had to know what was ticking him off or making him feel good. To make sure our back didn't have any additional wealth on it. So you want to talk about psychology, you can talk to any of us. The idea behind what's going on is that this country needs finance. It needs to raise revenue. That is why you look at the cops pulling you over and ticketing you for every little thing. That is how the state raises revenue. Well, it came down first to them taking your gold, then to take your silver. Then they took the land through the institution of the mortgage. Then after the land was taken, they began to mortgage you. When they catch you, it's for a minor infraction. They no longer serve desk appearance tickets for certain things anymore. They have your behind either in jail for overnight so that they can now submit to the state a particular document that states that the state can submit to the federal government to get the kickback for having your ass in that jail that needs to have somebody in there. Now, since you no longer have enough money to pay the revenue or to even pay the interest on what it is that's owed by these senators, these very people that's pretending this theater by politics with Clinton, who gives a damn? Obviously you do. Because all you dark folks are running to his side. I have never seen a string of jigaboos, boot blacks, and backside kisses as I have seen the amount of Negroes that have gathered around. They know their behind is in the slave, because he's about to sign them executive orders on y'all. Now check it out. Let me show you how far back your problems go. In 596, Pope Gregory begins a process of moving Roman civil law, known as the Black Letter Law, into England, laws of servitude to king and church. This was the basis for state statutes that dictate public municipal property or policy via private law of the trust, introduced into English common law by Lord Mansfield in 1760. See, to bring you into being a slave, they had to set up a trust. Do you know that? The trust still exists, people. When they gave you the Emancipation Proclamation and you got so happy that you all started becoming Republicans, They didn't tell you that they never dissolved the trust that was formed by the European Commonwealth at the time to make you a slave. It was never dissolved. They figured they needed it for later on. 1627, Francis Bacon writes a book called The New Atlantis, and it becomes a joint, and it becomes the new paradigm of a world university that scans the world for talented children in order to enrich the power of the state, because the state will know everything and be invincible. The book is widely read by German mystics. 1664, Descartes. This is a big-time French student.
Well, we went on the deep end there. We went into politics and we caught a lot of your political views. Those of you that saw the last program on healthcare, we're showing you a different side of Reverend Dr. Valentine, his political views and what he thinks and states the ambitions of the American government.
Well, all government.
All government. Okay.
The new Earth government, the Earth government that is trying to become the new world power, the new world order, that is almost like the pimple that is coming out on the body of a healthy person who has now changed their minds about how they're eating. They go through first a catharsis before they start getting better. Well, all governments today are based behind people who are self-centered or only for themselves. I do it like this. Once you start to write laws to govern people, that means that you have lost your innate instincts for right and wrong. Once the innate instincts for what is correct, what is decent, what is moral are gone, once you no longer have the ability to suppress certain things or to know how to regulate anger or regulate disputes, you write laws. And only when you write laws do you understand how repressive government comes. If you look at the IRS book manual, it's this thick and gets thicker every year. Only the priesthood of the IRS knows what it's about. It's just like your Bible. They tell you who God is, and they'll tell you what money is. So all these laws, and you look at the Constitution, it's this thin. Now that's supposed to be the laws around what we are dealing with. That's the bottom line of everything that we're about, is this thin. Yet still there are dynamics of laws on what you could do, spit on the sidewalk, wear your pants, how to wear your hair. All these are government via repression. This is not a land of the free. You got to pay to live in this land of the free. You got to pay big time. So as far as governments are concerned, do I say, well, he must be an anarchist? Because every time I speak, they put a label on you. Okay. What I'm saying is that until the people become self-governed in the truest sense, by understanding that you have to completely peel away or completely leave or abandon the self that was given to you and try to develop the self that you now, in your own heart, in your own actions, develop into. Because your mother formed your perception, your father and your mother.
Right.
The school that you were sent to formed your perception. The workaday world that you were trained in order to adapt to.
Television, movies.
Everything. There is nothing that comes from an organic sense of self. Everything that a child is based upon what was programmed into that small little machinery.
Correct.
And then now we have this political system that's trying to, oh, well, what happened out there in Columbine? You know, in Columbine. Oh, our poor child. When they show you black folks, black young kids going crazy, the Appalachian animals, wolf pack, all of these come out. But when Caucasian children go crazy and start shooting up and killing folks, oh, they're troubled. See, so when we start dealing with dynamics and understand that we are dealing with a certain perceptual context for what is right and wrong, that certain things that are right and certain things that are wrong are only right and wrong based upon the grades or the amount of money you have or the perception of political power and clout.
Isn't it going back to Machiavelli?
Oh, yeah, Machiavelli. I do suggest that everyone reads The Prince, because The Prince is essentially everything that the Rhodes Scholar is taught. So when you become a Rhodes Scholar, you are taught through Machiavellianism how to run the planet.
Explain the Machiavellian.
Well, Machiavelli, The Prince, is a book that essentially spoke about a specific ruler, or how a ruler is to rule via, just to break it down, via the worst in man. In other words,
Exactly.
what you do is you don't trust in the good nature of anyone.
Right.
The good nature of anyone is in maybe a fourth or two-thirds, or maybe a one-third of the population of the planet is quote-unquote good. The rest of us are innately evil. And what you do is based upon
This
that,
is not true, but it's what...
this is their perception.
Okay.
They have now elevated evil to a place of science,
Right.
where by dealing with a person's lower nature, not teaching a person to transmute that nature, but for their own power and for the control of a mass of people, you now institute levels of control based upon the baser nature of people. And so the whole government of the book, just to break it down, to start talking about it, the whole book is based upon how you may rule by dealing with the baser instincts of those who would then come to you. Just like you have different people who are leaders, and you wonder who it is that's actually murdering 10,000 people.
Right.
Those people who are around those people were innately the person chosen based on their own greed, their own quest for power.
Right.
So you understand how much a person wants power. You in power know how to give that power or allocate that power so that you stay in control. And that's what that whole book is about.
That's what Stalin was about.
Oh, yes.
That's what Hitler was about.
Hitler and all of them. I mean, again, most of these people were Christians.
Yeah.
So let's speak about that in a context that let's not demonize anyone else who has a specific form of thought and think that because we're over here in America and that we got Bible toters talking about the evil of Saddam and all that nonsense. Let's talk about what Christianity did to be established as our religion. Why
Well,
are
that's
black
been
folks
controlled anyway.
Oh, yeah.
That's been
You know,
controlled.
black folks call on Jesus like Jesus was the one that actually pulled them out of the bondage that we were put in. They were brought over here on the good ship Jesus. The Pope blessed the slaves in Middle Passage.
Right.
So you have to understand that what we have adopted as our infusion of sickness, psycho-spiritual sickness, we never spoke these languages. That part in Roots where Kunta Kinte was forced to adopt the word Toby, the name Toby, is very significant because the psyche was destroyed. Your language was taken from you. Your identity was taken from you. So anything that you try to acclimate yourself to in this hemisphere, based upon what you've been given as your education, your religion, has nothing to do with who you truly are.
How do we deal with the wounds, the health wounds? We're talking about health care. What about the mental trauma that, you know, the mind goes through being born and raised black here in America? How do we heal the wounds that we've been, that have been inflicted on us?
It's, you know, I'm very, very sad to say, I'll tell you this, I don't believe we can heal this. You want to know why?
Come on, it's got to be a way.
No. Because we refuse to separate ourselves from the mechanism of the disease.
Meaning?
Well,
From the
very
Machiavellianism?
things- well, not Machiavellianism, more than the very things we do that we do normally versus naturally. See, normal and natural are not the same thing. We are caught up with technocracy. That's a religion. Materialism. But now, the new materialism is technocracy. We have democracy, we have all these. Technocracy is the new religion for tomorrow. And the priesthoods are those who know how to deal with this new form of God worship.
Computers.
Right. The technocracy now has taken us out of our own organic spirit space and put us into a technocratic cyberspace. We have used the computer to the detriment of the brain. We have used the computer to the detriment of the mind. Now, those who cannot escape the present threshold of our reality knows that they must maintain the control of the reality they wish you to occupy. How do you do
Say
that?
that again. Okay.
This is a boundary.
Color. What's that?
No, the skin.
Oh, okay.
The very thing, the vessel that you are occupying is a boundary of consciousness.
Okay.
Whatever is this is your perception of yourself. Anything beyond that gives you knowledge of where your boundaries can exceed to.
Okay.
All right? The technocracy now has established a specific way of thinking so that you can't see beyond this. You now must function within the perception or the paradigm that this new cyberspace has set up. That's why they call it a web. It's a trap. It is not essentially a web to set you up or to bring you into any new frontier of yourself. The web is set up to keep the information that maintains the paradigm in place. So now you have a cyberspace and a virtual reality, not reality. The virtual reality is his way of maintaining your blindness to the reality of yourself. Now, the more we adopt to the need for technology, the less we have the ability to develop the first technology, us, mind.
Okay.
You are now so distracted by all of the toys that technology and the distractions that technology gives you that you do not understand how to focus within. Technology is actually made to distract you from focusing within. You see. So now technology has you believing that I can create anything. The children are so crazy now because they have not yet been given the chance, or they have been refused the chance to explore their imaginations. The imagination is the field of creativity.
Of course.
Now what they do, in order to maintain control of your children, they have to, what? They have to colonize imagination. So how do they colonize imagination? They give you a bevy of different types of superheroes. They give you a bevy of different things that your child must now adapt to. I'm Superman. I'm a transformer. No, I'm a this, I'm a that. Now children have so many different types of toys that are set up in such a way for you to buy as well as look. So the new toy or the new Star Wars is one thing. The movie has not come out yet, but you have merchandise over $1 billion in the symbol. Now the child cannot play that he or she is this superhero. They give you the superhero, of course, in the form of a Caucasian. Nobody black lives in outer space, and if they do, they're incidental to the Caucasian again. This is that psychological masturbation that he has, that he must colonize where you would go to find yourself.
This has been a problem ever since I've been black.
Exactly.
So how do we overcome it?
By talking about the fact, by talking like we are now.
Okay.
Nobody speaks like this. Nobody speaks to the fact that the fields of imagination that a baby would take. I used to take a box that my mother would bring a refrigerator in or whatever, and I would make a world out of that box. I would get a shovel or whatever it is, and that particular, whatever I had, my imagination, my ability to access my inner intelligence and express it through what I feel is a dynamic. Now, children can't do that. They have so many distractions from the ability to use imagination. Now, from 4 to 5 years old, they're into cyberspace. So cyberspace now accumulates in their own inner space. And they have no way of accessing the godlike consciousness that gives them the ability to see beyond this threshold. And that's the problem with us today. We are so trapped in the web and in virtual reality that we cannot see the reality that is us. And now our children are going to be talking to us and saying, well, why is it that you don't let me know about myself? I have nothing else to live for. What the heck?
Well, this is one way I combat most of these diseases that we've caught by doing something on television.
Ah, good.
This is the perfect way to get the positive energy out there.
But you...
Especially you as a guest.
I know.
Well,
The pity is, my brothers of that kind of consciousness is like this.
Well, we can...
See? We will.
We're going to do it.
We're going to do it.
I'm going to do it. I can see it. That was last week was my birthday. Anybody watching? No. This will probably be shown. Well, we don't know when we're going to show this one. I'm so used to doing live shows.
We call
it being taped.
Happy Earth Day. That's how we're going to do it.
Okay.
Happy Earth Day. This is when you came to Earth. Your birth is the word that they usually use, like I said in the beginning,
Happy
to
Earth Day.
associate with cattle.
Okay.
So you'll have your Happy Earth Day or the time of your appearance. Again, we have to change the semantics that have cemented our consciousness perception of self. The language has given us a specific space, a cell with which to operate in. And until we break the codings of the language, until we begin to go back and find out what our genetic ancestry was saying about what God is,
How do we do that?
call that.
How do we do that?
Well, we first go back to understanding how the language is spoken. Because the language takes on specific tones.
Okay.
Our language was based on beats, on ways, and the way we did the give and take.
You have a chant that we could do?
I can speak in a Kemetic tongue. For instance, I could say, Emda renef muter, hakda yetefr nezarek on. I say, in the name of the great mother and the great father, and all that proceeds from the both, we give thanks to life. Now, that being said, triggers me into the tongue movement, the tonality of my brain, the cranium, the nasal phonics, the throat vibration, all of that now triggers me into my file, my memory file.
But in my little world, the way I was raised in my Christian beliefs and so forth and so on, I believe in Christ. I believe in being Christ-like. And I know I talk to God. I know I'm tuning into a superior, an eternal Father. And I know he's there, and I know I talk to him, and I know I'm reaching somebody.
Okay, let's touch that. Let's talk about that. Because I know all the Christians out there would want to know, what is it that you're talking to?
I'm talking to myself.
That's the first understanding of what it is that God is. First of all, I was Catholic. Raised Catholic. Oh man. Talk about who is right. See these knuckles? These knuckles were primed by all the sisters and brothers. They say all the sisters Catholics.
You just explained it all.
Woo! Yes.
Catholicism was controlled by the Roman
Oh,
Jews. It was the same people that killed Jesus.
Listen, let me tell you something.
And the first time Jesus was depicted as being white was by
Michelangelo.
Michelangelo, 1504.
Painting his cousin.
Right. Okay.
So understand that the Christianity, Catholicism, all of that came from Krishna.
Okay.
All of what you see as revelations was stolen, pimped by Apollonius of Tyana. He took that information that he got from his guru way back when. And his guru gave him the understanding. The whole book of Revelation is a book of how to raise your kundalini energy.
Oh, okay.
That's all it is.
I didn't hear.
All right, so you understand.
Oh, yeah.
So if you understand what the book of the seven seals was, that gave away where Apollonius, who actually was the person that they actually made the Christ, Apollonius of Tyana was the one that they took his works and made him the quote-unquote Christ. But Apollonius, Paul, P-O-L is what he was called, his nickname, P-O-L, so you see the book of Paul, P-A-U-L. All of these particular writings in that book called it wasn't called the Revelation, it was called the Apocalypse. Okay? This book was written on the island of Patmos by Apollonius in an ancient tongue that could not have been broken down unless you knew what the tongue was about. In that, Apollonius, who had traveled extensively in India and was taught by Sri Bhaktivedanta, or Bodhisattva, I believe, or Bhaktivedanta, that was his teacher.
Okay.
He took his teachings from there and brought them to the West. Now, it couldn't have been broken down. It wasn't broken down, and it stayed in a little dusty enclave until a man named Marcion, who was an intellect and a scholar who would travel all that area, just picking up all the old books he could, took it, and he was versed in the tongue that Apollonius had written it in. So he began to translate this, and he started saying, whoa, what is all of this? He said, nobody knows any of these things. I can take this information, since nobody knows what this old Sumerian, I think it was a Sumerian tongue, and I'll give it to you. So that was the history of the book of Revelation. All the books that you see written in the Bible were written at different ages. They weren't at chronological time. Because you could see that all through the book, God was represented as first fire, God was the air. All of the different elements were represented as God throughout the Bible, from the Old to the New Testament. And you could tell that every time an age had changed, the perception of how God would then express itself, either as one of the four elements, fire, air, water, and earth became the W-O-R-D of God. You are the Word made flesh. So when you understand you are fire, air, water, and earth made flesh, everything begins to explode into clarity. So you understand that the fire, the four principles, fire, air, water, and earth, become your four senses: sight, sound, smell, and taste.
Okay.
From those four senses become your four systems: digestive, reproductive, respiratory, circulatory. And then those four, as they work, go into the four worlds. You have the light world, the life world, the form world, and the physical world. So we are broken down geometrically.
Well, how does the Kundalini fit in? The four,
Well, I'm
the
just
seven
saying,
chakras.
The seven chakras are just several nodal points of light stations, and they are fixed with the seven sisters that you call the seven solar systems upstairs.
Okay.
Yeah, it gets kind of deep. When you begin to know the Bible for real, you begin to understand that all of that nonsense they told you about in Exodus and in Genesis. And Genesis was the principle of God's involutionary understanding of self. In other words, for those 7 days, there was an involutionary perception that God began to know itself within those 7 days. On the seventh day, when God rested, that was the point when creation began to come into being. That's the Exodus. So what was involutionary became evolutionary in Exodus.
So
Genesis
one
is
day in
involutionary.
the time framework was
Couple
how
hundred trillion
long?
years.
Okay.
Couple hundred trillion years. So you figured that, and this is the sweet part about it. When you understand who the Son was of God, and you understand what the Son was, when you understand what Eve is, then you understand that we are inside of a cosmic dynamic, an astrophysical dynamic that somebody took and made an anthropomorphical story out of. So when you understand that a sun, when the sun gives up its fuel, it now loses its context and association with the specific galactic dynamic that it is, and it goes wandering. That fuel dies, and what you have now is this smoldering cauldron that now becomes your earth. So the sun is the youngest life form in existence.
The sun.
The sun.
Our sun.
The sun is younger than this earth. The moon is older than the earth.
Wait. Oh, boy, you lost me that.
I know I did.
Oh, my goodness.
You see, it's just a change of consciousness, a change of paradigm. The
The
sun,
sun
yes,
is younger
than the earth.
than the earth,
You see, when the sun gives up its nuclear fuel, it cools.
but it never cools.
Yes, it does. The sun is an earth in being. That's what they say, that the sun was, that the earth or Eve was made from where? Where did Eve come from?
A rib?
One of the ribs of Adam. If you look up at the sun during a certain time of the day, you will see these spikes coming from out of it. See, the ancient ancestors were telling things that were so enormously powerful that the simplistic mind of the Western man began to take it and make it into a story form.
Okay.
So when you understand that Eve came from Adam, you understand how the earth was once the sun. And how the moon, after the earth gave up all of its fuel, now becomes caught up in the orbit of the next strongest energy. And what an asteroid is essentially what the moon is going to end up being. And then after everything is finished, it goes right back into the incandescent essence that it was before. So the sun coagulates the incandescent energy into this form that spirals and solidifies into this form of light. That's the symbol of the circle with the dot in the middle of it. When the sun begins to, when divinity begins to peep into a realm of reality called the material plane, it does so first by opening a way that you call a black hole. But there's an expression first. It begins to accumulate.
Where's the veil of Isis fit in?
Well, the veil of Isis is exactly what it is we're under. We're not even a veil. We're in a sack. We're so ignorant. The veil of Isis is the raising of the secrets of nature.
Right.
That nature is essentially based on these four batteries: fire, air, water, and earth.
Which we were just talking about.
Right. These four batteries are essentially the elementals that go into creating everything that becomes form. All form has intrinsic to it fire, air, water, and earth. This is the word made flesh that they talk about. And in my book, Neogenesis, which is what I'm writing right now, the Neogenesis is going to break this whole thing down. I'm going to take it to another stage.
John, you see that one?
Yeah.
What, give us some of the other books you've read.
Well, I finished a book called The Wounded Womb, which is to actually bring our sisters back into sanity. A lot of our sisters are so busy trying to be men now that they forgot how to be women, and now they're suffering enormous amounts, 157% rise in female diseases. And they have not yet attributed it to the fact that the feminine principle is playing outside of its behavioral league, so to speak. Now, you call me a chauvinist, call me what you want, but every time I see anyone for counseling, 90% of them are women. And it isn't because we brothers aren't sick. It's because essentially our sisters are getting sick with the very things that I used to help brothers with. Male pattern baldness is what women are suffering now. You think that's an accident? The fibroid tumor is a result of the female's now sojourn or her quest into the male dominant energy. See, a lot of what it is that women are doing now as equal, that's stupidity. It's madness. I don't care how well you can play basketball. After I've seen Michael Jordan, I do not see anything else. I don't care if you want to play football and go in and play boxing. You are just imitating men. That doesn't tell me that women have another stage to show me where to go. It just shows me that, yeah, by nature, you are a follower. By nature, you are an information processor. You don't deal with knowledge. Now, this is not to castigate women. I am angry because our sisters cannot connect the dots and see why they're sick. They cannot see why testosterone levels have raised in our women today. Why is testosterone raising in our women? Want to know why, sisters? Why, you want to know why you have all that acne on your face? Because acne is a direct result of hypertoxicity from testosterone. That's the number one thing. Once you get the testosterone level, why do you think there's a new birth control pill that they promote on television? It says, go and deal with your regularity of your cycle, make sure that you're protected from having children, and have a clear complexion too. What do you think that's for? See, a lot of the things that, you see what I'm saying? People don't understand what's going on with the madness and the behavioral madness of not only the men, but what the sisters have adopted to do. Most of the women who are in these executive places and doing all this heavy yang work and studies, which women never really did a lot of reading in those days. Women were the griots. Reading, and this is something you sisters got to realize, when you use your eyes, my sisters, and you use it to the way of trying to process two-dimensional and one-dimensional figures, you use up an enormous amount of vitamin A because your eye needs to pull certain types of energy to process one- and two-dimensional figures. Your eye, by nature, was meant to process three-dimensional things. When you have to process two-dimensionality, then what you have to do is to use more energy to process that. That's why you never read. Writing and reading were done by males. Now that you're doing it, you are using up an enormous amount of vitamin A and other associated nutrition, which is directly connected to your balance of estrogen. Without vitamin A, proper vitamin A, you have a distorted amount of estrogen in your body. So if you see these women who are super studious, I want you to study women who are super studious. You'll see they look yang. They're growing hair on their chin. They're looking like they're yang. Why? Because you change your nature. And I say this in my book. Design denotes function. If you are designed in a specific way, nature has you designed to perform specific functions. It's not about you being slaved and denied coming into this and denied your equal share. There are certain things that I as a male can do and must do, just like there are certain things that you as a female can and must do. If you don't do that, you pay with all these different expressions that you call disease. Breast cancer. What is breast cancer? Breast cancer is based upon a psychospiritual connection or disconnection from your mother principle. Women who have deepest issues with their mothers or with their own internal maternal instincts in motherhood, end up with breast cancer. Why? These are the nurturers. These are what you give life to. You don't just give milk. You give consciousness through the breast. Now, when you don't allow that child to share the consciousness from within and without, it becomes coagulated, becomes constipated, and it turns to cancer. This is cancer, we said, was selfishness.
Right.
Not feeding your child for at least a year or two from your breast is the ultimate in selfishness. Now, tell me that the society is doing this because I got to run back and do my job. Well, the society needs to change in order for you to change that. And you have the ability to change it. Because if you stop working today, if every woman in this country, especially black women, stopped doing everything they were doing for at least a week to 2 weeks, we could grind this country to a halt. And they will listen to you. But if you are not feeding that child from that breast, your consciousness that comes out in the form of your milk, your love and your giving, it becomes stultified. And if you think it's crazy, and it's not scientific, why are you all dying at the rates you're dying now? You better start going back to the ancient understanding of who you were as women. Not as equal females, but as women.
Now, you probably get a lot of calls. I hope.
Oh, I have some great arguments with feminists. Feminists hate me because they can't answer some of the things I put
You're
there.
going to have a lot of calls on this one.
I love feminists.
But,
Come on, I need all calls coming.
but the whole point is stating all the problems. Again, I'll go back to the fact that how do we as black people in
Right.
America deal with all these problems, all the psychological problems? Not only the physical problem, but the psychological problem that feeds the physical problem.
Well, let's look at the word psychological and what does it denote? It denotes how your thought process
Exactly.
is being processed.
Exactly.
Right? Now let's look at what thought is. Okay, can we understand? Let's just do a little
Okay.
discussion on thought.
All right.
What do you believe thought is?
A mental process is what your imagination chooses or sees yourself as being.
Okay. That
Your
is
concept
essentially-
of self,
Yeah, concept.
thought.
Yeah. Well, thought essentially...
electrical energy coming
Yeah.
from the mind.
Electrical energy. These are all of what it is they want you to believe thought is. Okay? Now, if you
Okay.
can now just follow me a little bit,
Sure.
let us try to process what thought is. Thought is a container. The matrix of thinking is to store information. Okay?
Okay.
So anything that you use through the context or through the confines of thought has to be of the past. Now let's look at that.
Okay.
Anytime you use the operation of thought, you are using something that you have processed from the past.
That you experience.
Exactly.
Okay.
So how can thought be used, or psychology, which is based on your thinking process, be used to solve problems of the future, if the only thing that thought can bring up is things of the past?
What about imagination?
Let's not talk about imagination. That is just another descriptive principle of an action of the mind. But let us talk about thought.
All right, the thinking process.
Right.
If
The
I
thinking
have a
process.
thought,
Right.
I plant it in my subconscious
Right.
and nurture it with positive energies,
All right.
that thought will come to fruition.
Okay. The thought that you have in your mind is still based on an experience from the past.
Because it works.
No. Let's not go about what the dynamic, what we perceive thought to be. Let us just look at the mechanism called thought, and then when we look at the mechanism, we will see the futility of using thought as a means to solve our problems.
Well, break it down for me, Doc.
Thought is a mechanistic, it's a machine only.
Okay.
It can only file information and give it back to you. But the thing about it is that when we use thought, we tend to add all the other ingredients that come from ego, that come from everything else
Of course.
that we judge of the information that we are putting into our container.
Okay.
So whatever we bring a thought, we have in our memory
Biases. And
biases, everything, hatred, angers, agreements, inside that container.
But
Now-
you have to analyze all that. I mean, if you're wise enough, you try to break it down so you don't put all that into
But
your thought.
who is the analyzer? Is not thought the analyzer of itself?
the Creator within you should be giving you the thought process.
You're speaking loftier terms. We want to talk
Okay.
to the people on another level,
All right.
their level.
Okay.
You've gone way beyond them, so we have to bring it down so they can understand.
Okay.
When you think from the container of thought, you think from a accumulated inventory of experiences. In that accumulation has attached all forms of different forms of judgment of situations
Good.
that you've been given. What is right, what is wrong, what is up, what is down. I don't like that, I like that, I don't like him, I don't, boom, all of that goes into the container you call thought. Now here we are trying to solve a problem by grabbing into that grab bag of what you call thought and trying to bring a solution from all that madness that you've accumulated. It will never happen. Thought can never, ever, especially if we are in a dynamic where thought has learned to become comfortable with itself, where it makes excuses for being sick, excuses for being overweight, excuses for being late, excuses. Thought always tries to defend itself. So when you try to use thought, you immediately put ego into the trip, into the ingredient. Now, how do you get outside of thought and learn how to solve your problems without using the dynamic of thinking? That's the secret. Because every time you try to go to thought, you have to go back to your education system, how they taught you how to solve a problem.
Experience.
Exactly. No, not experience. Most of your education didn't come from experience. 99% of your education comes from vicarious experience, what your teacher told you happened.
Second-hand information.
Exactly. So you don't have first-hand information about anything. 90% of your life is based upon vicarious experience. So how do you get from the point where you can go from vicarious experience to the immediacy of the moment without dealing with all of that accumulated garbage so that you and I are here to solve the problem? Not from our education, not from all the crap we're bringing, therefore not with thought. When you begin to understand as the person observing, now you call your observation of thought meditation. Now, meditation is not the meditation that I'm speaking about. Meditation is you going into Om, no.
Right.
That's not meditation. That's you just doing a lot of mental gymnastics so that you could numb whatever it is that you're thinking about. I'm talking about suspending thought as an activity so that intelligence may enter. Now, how does intelligence enter? Because intelligence and thought are two different things. Intelligence is based upon what you intuitively, through insight, know. Thought is based upon what you have accumulated from your experience on the outside. So any accumulation of experience gives you what you think about. So don't step in front of that truck or you can get hit. You may have seen somebody get hit. So that's, whoa, I definitely won't do that. That's something you file. But how do you know?
Is this what happens when you study the tree of life in the
Kabbalah.
Kabbalah?
When you we see, all of these studies bring you back to yourself.
Okay.
And all of these show you the traps of thought.
Okay.
Thought is like walking on eggshells. You're bound to hear sounds. They're always there. If you try to go into a meditation right now, there'll be thoughts in your mouth. Did I turn off the stove? Did I call or who called me today?
Right.
You can't solve problems with that instrument.
Right.
So the way you understand how thought is limited is by going into a space where you become an observer of your thoughts without becoming the judge of your thoughts.
How many people can do that?
There are many people who can do that. Children do that.
Children
do that.
Well, that goes back to mental transmutation.
Or Christ said, ye shall not enter into the kingdom of heaven unless...
You come by me?
No, not you come by me. You enter as little children.
Oh, right.
Right. Why I'm saying that thought and intelligence are two different things is that when you are observing thought, you become an observer, then there's an observer, the observation, and that which is observed. There are three different components.
Okay.
Now, can you observe everything about your own life without assigning a judgment to your mother, to your father, to the friend, to your wife, to your husband, to everybody? Can you assign your own observation without assigning a judgment? If you can look at yourself without judging yourself, then you have not added to the inventory. You are simply looking at what is without assigning, you see, an opinion to it. When you do that, thought becomes less intrusive. And then intelligence begins to come to the surface. You begin to see it without adapting anything to it. The logic of the thing, the reasoning of the thing comes to the fore. But if I'm using my thoughts, which are bereft and saturated with my own ego, I cannot solve the problem of the world. I cannot even solve my own problem. Because I have been made to believe that my problems are instigated outside of me, that the world is not me and I am not the world.
How can we teach our people to go through these processes?
Well, the process has to come from us learning not to actually become judges. We are constantly judging. The idea of self-preservation has gone completely outside the boundaries of what it is that is dangerous to us, what is confined, what is good. We have been taught, this slate, this machinery, has been so saturated with what to do that we have not been taught how to be. So we have become human doers rather than human beings. We say we're human beings, but we are completely congested with human doing. So now, how do we change the doing focus to a being focus? The way to do that is to stop doing. Most people who don't have anything to do go crazy because they've been trained to do constantly. But the being itself, the non-doing creates the being. And can we exercise non-doing for a moment? If you know that you got to get up, boom, you got to eat. You're overweight. Mm-hmm. You get up and your refrigerator is completely full with everything that keeps you in that condition. You look into the refrigerator and you say, okay, my doing has contributed to this particular doer being in the state that they're in. So until I stop doing, I cannot look at myself and the actions that I do because I am hypnotized by the addiction in my being.
Knowing all this and being able to do it are two different things. It's difficult to sit there and just leave your mind completely blank of thought and have the thoughts come to you.
But you see, the thought itself is there to maintain your comfort zone. Thought never wants to be critical of itself. You see, thought always legitimizes its reason to be. So no matter what it is that you felt comfortable with for 10, 20 years, the most difficult thing for you to do is discard that part of yourself.
Sounds crazy to people.
Oh, of course it does. That's because they're already insane. And sanity itself, insanity itself sounds insane to insane people.
I say to God all the time, keep me sane, God, please.
But you see, I walk down the street talking to myself sometimes.
I do too.
Yeah, I'm talking about people
question my sanity.
You gotta be insane. No, I'm not.
But I question my sanity.
See, that's good. That's good. Because when you're not questioning your sanity in an insane asylum, then you're insane. The insane don't question their sanity in an insane asylum. You see. So your questioning of your sanity inside of Western civilization is quite sane.
Oh, we know this is insanity.
Oh, yes, definitely. That's why everything I'm saying to you sounds like it's completely out of the way. They have colonized your thoughts. Your thoughts are not your own. As a matter of fact, I teach my students that you are not thinking thoughts. Thought is thinking you. That's why you cannot get out of your addictions. That's why you cannot see beyond the glass darkly. That's why you believe that government's got your problem to solve your problem. That's why you believe you can go into your church and find solace with some entity that's living out there. They've really got you believing.
But you can't.
No, you can't. You can get an artificial form of comfort, which again begins to turn on you just like any other drug. Because every time you take a drug for your particular physiological problem, you still see the byproduct of that futility because something else happens to you. Now, if you take a drug called religion to deal with your spiritual sickness, then you're going to see the problem like it happened over there.
Talking to God is talking to yourself. When you go to church, you go and have a conversation with yourself.
But for the last, 500 years, I have seen a pale man with blonde hair and blue eyes.
But we know
that is a serious sickness.
But we know that's not true.
Yes, but you see, we don't know that the whole thing is not true.
That Jesus,
we think, that's right, Jesus never existed.
Jesus never existed.
And I say that to all of you pontificating Reverend Fatback and all the rest of you all.
No,
you all cannot
he was
go...
raised a Catholic, so...
Yeah, I can do that. Well, I can go to Reverend, all of them. I can tell them that, and I will go toe-to-toe with them anytime, any place, if they can tell me and show me one shred of evidence that Jesus ever lived. As a matter of fact, all of the paperwork that they have in the Vatican showing that Jesus didn't live far exceeds that he did live.
You can prove that in the Vatican?
Oh, they have all that information.
So
as a matter of fact,
convolution of Catholicism?
Oh, yeah, the early writers of Christianity were all writers about what information they were getting from the East. They were anthropomorphizing the Heru concept. The first Madonna and child was Heru and Isis. And they took that
ISIS.
yeah. How do you think Christianity came into being?
I
First of
gotta
all, you
listen
have to remember
to
that Christianity
what I've
got
been
its
taught.
roots from the Coptic concept. And that came straight out of Kemet. All right? Now, Kemet is an amalgamation of Africa's greatest minds coming together in one space.
Well, one thing I did think about Jesus, when those lost years when he was missing, I thought he had went to Egypt and learned his magic, learned how to raise people from the dead.
But you got to remember, the person
Learn how
they
to walk
called
on
Jesus
water.
was Apollonius of Tyana, a rich boy who discarded his riches and went to learn in Tibet, India, Africa. His last places that he learned was in Kemet, in the temples of Kemet. Sanchoniathon was one of his teachers. And not only that,
Now say this again.
Sanchoniathon, Apollonius of Tyana.
Of Tiana.
Of
Where's
Tyana. Tyana was a little province off by the Mediterranean. I don't remember the exact space.
So he wasn't born in Jerusalem?
No, Jerusalem is not. Oh, see, Salam Aleikum, Jerusalem. I mean, if you understand that the language you're speaking, this place, these people who say that this is the promised land, how much blood has been spilled in the name of religion, my brother?
Oh, that's
So it doesn't work. Religion can never bring anybody together. It's a lie. It's the biggest lie, and it's the most difficult thing for us to get rid of as a disease. It's the most addictive substance we have because it's so good. It feels so good when we go in.
does.
It does. And just like any other drug, we are in the euphoria of our ignorance of ourselves. That we believe someone is coming. That this principle of vicarious atonement, that somebody going to take you out your mess, is what keeps us in our mess.
Oh, it makes me understand why this insanity is going on.
Yeah. Well, see, I don't understand how Jesus, who brings and wreaks more insanity around the planet in the name of his name.
But those people aren't following what I think Jesus
Oh, that's the excuse. Well, the persons who murdered all those natives, they weren't real Christians. What is that? What is that again? What do they
Just
call
like
it
the
again?
Vatican, they aren't real Christians.
Yeah,
right?
they're not real Christians. Let's just call them for what they are. That's what you call myopia. That's what you call using the blinders. There is nothing disassociated from Christianity that you cannot see that has been made with blood, with tears, with slavery, and still goes on today. Religion, religio, or to order or to confine, is essentially a process of oppression. They take away your ability to think for yourself and take away your ability to know that you are
God.
the Redeemer.
Okay.
You are the Savior.
Christ lies within.
Okay, now let's get out of Christ. Let's call Krishna. Let's go back a little further. We want to
God?
use Christ. Let's
God?
use Krishna. Not even God, because the reverse is dog. We can call
the
it.
dog star.
Yeah, what I'm saying. Well, we're going to assign dogs. So let's take away these appellations that maintain the illusion. Because we are functioning in idiocy. Our actions are based in ignorance. And that container that we have, our thought container, is full to the brim with garbage. So now, if you were ready to listen to me in dealing with your natural healing,
Right.
and I say to you, don't eat that anymore.
Right.
Don't drink that anymore. I say to you physically, take all of that out of your mechanism. Get rid of the meat and the pork and the crap like that. You say, oh, that will heal me? 21 days down the line, you're bouncing around, you're feeling good, and you're saying, whoa, brother hit it on the mark. But let me tell you now, you're saying, okay, well, listen, 10 months down the line, you call me, listen, I went back to what I was doing, man, listen. Can you hook me up again? All right, I say, okay, bring me some more money. Here's what you do again. And it's the same thing I told you before. You didn't have to come back to me.
Because it worked the first
It
time.
worked the first time. Now, I come to you and I tell you, brother, you don't need to know about anything that the church tells you because they're telling you so you could come back to church. You don't have to deal with political systems. You don't need anyone to tell you who you are because who you are will be revealed unto yourself as you do and as you be. You don't need this particular appellation and this prescription for God.
What if I told you I always prayed to be Jesus?
Okay, that's what I'm saying to you.
I want to come back as Jesus.
Well, here's what I'm saying to you.
I want to be the
Now,
second.
you have a problem.
You told me never exists. God want to make me the second coming? Okay, I'm ready.
You have a problem now getting rid of what I tell you is your psychological sickness or what feeds into your dependency scenario.
So I'm just another nut running around.
Well, just like me.
Okay.
see, as far as circumstances are concerned, you believe that someone will take care of you. Not only
No, I want to
physically.
be that second coming.
What I'm saying to you, you are that. It's a collective Messiah.
Then I feel much better.
Yeah, you are a you're part of the collective
I want to
Messiah.
be the Messiah.
You are.
Okay.
You are for yourself. And by your actions, you will be that for others. By example. But you don't, I don't want nobody
That's
coming
all-
to my church.
That's the whole Jesus syndrome.
I don't want nobody coming to me thinking they're going to find God inside of four walls. That's nonsense.
You have to find Jesus within.
If you don't find Jesus within you first, and then inside of your own home, you ain't going to find Jesus on the corner.
Right.
It's a lot of nonsense. That is a social gathering every Sunday, which is fine. But our ancestors used it at one time to know how to deal with escape routes. We don't do that anymore. You understand? The church was not for us a place where we would go to find God. It was a place where the master wouldn't whip us for about maybe a day or so. It was a place where we could plan and strategize. That's where the church was. We weren't worshiping no Jesus back then. We began to because whatever it was, this saturation by a few Negroes began telling us, yeah, listen, Jesus is your Savior. Jesus is, listen, I have caught on to Jesus. Jesus is this. That's nonsense. Jesus was your enslaver. So how can he be the one to free you? If he is going to keep you a slave from the beginning, he's going to keep you a slave
Like
throughout.
Machiavellian theory.
Yes, religion
All
was
right.
the opiate of the masses.
Okay.
Right.
So it's just in reverse. Well, they're just trying to keep you peaceful.
No.
But if you really dig into it and you try to
What
be
kind of peace? Let's talk about peace. What kind of peace is it? That I
Keep
could
you
go bomb
docile.
somebody.
That
So what I
thou
do is
shalt not
yeah.
kill. Thou
You know,
shalt love thy
you know,
neighbor, your brother. I mean, if
Did
I'm
you
not
remember?
rebellious and I
you
got 2
remember-
minutes.
Did you remember when
Another good one.
I know. Did you remember when those kids killed those kids in those schools? That they had went right to President Clinton and asked him what he thought? What did Clinton say? Clinton said, quote, our children should be taught that violence is not a means for conflict
You
resolution.
look like a hypocrite.
Wait, now that's what I'm saying to
He's
you.
out there bombing, you know.
So that's what
And
I'm
then
saying to
even,
you.
you know, they're white people.
The society, it doesn't matter. They are actually the lower class of the white folks.
Oh, okay.
They were the ones that were sent over there on the Seventh Crusade. Okay?
Well, the
Seventh
war
Crusade.
between Serbia and Bosnia has been going on
It's a
for
war
how
between.
long?
It's a
That's
war
when the
between
First World War started, wasn't it?
Christianity and Islam is at war right now. It's Judaism, Christianity versus Islam, because Islam is it's the fastest forming religion on the planet now. Do you know that at least a third or more of the Russian military were Islamic before they took it apart?
Oh, yeah.
Did you know that North Korea is Islamic?
North Korea.
That's right. See, that's what I'm saying. They don't tell you that. And this is what I'm saying to you. There's this move to maintain power through the religious concepts of vicarious
We
atonement.
got 1 minute.
1 minute. All right.
So I'd just like to end this with
peace and love.
God, make me the second coming. You know,
Yeah.
maybe I can come back as Jesus.
Why not the
first
third
one
and the
never-
fourth?
Well, the
Why don't
first
you
one
be the
didn't
original
exist.
coming?
Well, all right.
Make me the original coming.
Go
Because I don't
with
believe in the first coming.
Well, I'm
Because
gonna
when
try
you came, my misery
Well,
started.
I want everybody to become a Guild Christian and watch the program every week.
I like that.
Because Guild Christian
Get the taste.
as you know in church, getting to that ending sometime. Once you get the spirit going, it's kind of hard to stop. The topic today is in search of historical Jesus. And our guest today, which you remember from before, we had several comments made from people that called in, Reverend Valentine and myself, questioning some of his proposed ideas about Jesus. Well, I want you to welcome to the show today Reverend Valentine. Thank you for coming again, my brother.
Thank you for allowing me.
Proud Nubian brother.
Oh,
I
yeah.
hope you see that.
Pan down on that.
You have to stand down on
These
on
are
the
some young brothers who want to put together. And, you know, they always got us typecast as either being hoods or whatever. But these little young brothers came together, put out a little line. You can't pan down on that. You over there on that.
Well,
camera
we'll
over
get
there.
it. We'll get it. Yeah. We'll
Pan
get
down on that.
All right, you know, the subject today, in search of historical Jesus. Now, you and I go to church and we listen to our sisters sing, and this is a classic example of stimulating the spiritual energy that's within us all. What's your take on this historical Jesus, which you mentioned before that there was some contradiction to what we've been taught?
Yeah, at the time, I mean, I love going to church for the feeling I get when everybody is is being entertained. There is a sociability and a social cultural consciousness that has grown from the pain of peoples of color who were first brought here as prisoners of war / slaves. I don't decry the entertainment the church gives. What I do decry, and what I have a great suspect of, is having the people come there in the environment of entertainment and good feeling, and then the classic forms of brainwashing is to first disarm your conscious and then entrain your subconscious. When you deal with the wonderful feeling, the emotional output that music and what we do when we come together to celebrate anything, it's easy to teach within that particular environment anything you want. People raise money by doing that. People raise consciousness by bringing music and revelry and bringing up the energy. It's a history for peoples of color to have used music and dance as a way to bring up the kundalini / spiritual energy.
All right.
You see? So it's easy for you to entrain anything once you have that. Either that, or you use, as what Christianity used at its outset, brute force, murder, genocide.
So now, what you said was very interesting. 'Cause, you know, I get that elevation of consciousness when I go to church every Sunday. I mean, this gospel, I would call it. I mean, the raising of the kundalini. I mean, that happens to me all the time. I mean, I was mentioning this morning, I watched one of the old sermons, one of the old gospel singing. And I mean, it always brings up that God consciousness in you.
Yeah.
So this is, you're saying that this is just a mechanism for the controlling people?
Well, yeah, it's an opiate. It's a fix that most of us need at the end of the slave week. You know, you call it work week.
Okay.
And it's ridiculous because, you know, it's fine for us to go and celebrate God, but we were given this second-hand apparition. And this is what we are actually entrained with. We have not gone and discovered God or Jesus for ourselves. We are given a tradition of Jesus, and through inculcation, indoctrination, and / education, we then carry that on as a reality in our lives. That's the same thing they did in Nazi Germany when they got the young young Hitler youth and told them everything that they needed to. I was raised a Catholic. I knew how I was raised in the West Indies as a Catholic. I was raised that Jesus lived, that Catholic Church was and is, and Christianity was and is the only solution for your soul. And I knew nothing else until I came here when I was young. And
How old were you then?
I was about 9 or 10 years of age, yes.
So
When I
your
first
first
came to this
10
country.
years
were in
Catholic.
were in Catholic. No, my first I went to Catholic high school.
Oh, you went, okay.
Oh yeah, I did the whole gauntlet, man. I was chained all the way up the ladder of education to this particular Christian ethic. I got a good quote unquote indoctrination, and I was I was well trained in Christianity. They make sure you learn, okay? But what I want to be very clear about is that in my search for truth, because I just got sick and tired of people telling me what the truth was, and I had no vested interest in finding that truth for myself. All religion, no matter what it is you have, I don't care what you call yourself, 99, 44, 100% of the time, you inherited it. You did not find so-called God for yourself. And it's time for us to wake up out of this stupor. It's time for us to grow up and stop being little kindergarten children, being led around by our noses, by our hearts, and by our pineal glands, making us believe that this person, this fictitious person named Jesus, lived. And he did not live. And that's the thing that gets me angry with all of these so-called scholars of Christianity. They did not get their scholarship outside the venue of Christianity.
All right, give us your you've said a lot. I mean,
I'm going to say a heck of a lot more.
On toes today.
I told you that them toes that I'm stamping on, line them up in front of me. Because it's time that these toes get mashed on. They've been too comfortable. They got big, brogan shoes.
If I've understood what you said, you said that Jesus never existed.
The principle called Jesus, the man called Jesus, never ever existed. Now, I know all of the Christian ministers are going to be ripping their hair out and
I want a
snatching their
phone
power
number
off.
up so you can call.
You can call me. Matter of fact, I invite people to come and debate me on the
I need
historical
a
facts.
phone number for that.
There's a difference between the fable and the fact, and I want to deal with the fact rather than the fable. We have been mesmerized by the fable. We, in the 20th century, with all this technology all around us, we still wondering about somebody up there in the sky waiting for us to do bad or good, and this
Well-
place called heaven and hell. It's a lot of nonsense.
Well, the basic principle of being a Christian is to be Christ-like.
Okay, then if you want to be Christ-like, then find out what Christ is, not who Christ is.
Well, we're told that Christ, who is Jesus Christ, was crucified and died for our sins, which you were well taught as a Catholic. I'm
Yeah,
sure.
I was well taught about
But
what
when
it
did you
is.
discover that this was all?
When I began to take the English language apart, English is a language of lawyers. So lawyers learn to conceal a lot inside of their languaging. So when you understand how the English language works, you have to dissect it like you would a rat in a lab. And you have to take the guts of the English language and find how they conceal rather than reveal.
What made you go on the search in the first place?
Because I got disenchanted with all of these robe-wearing, yelling, shouting, Jesus being my Savior, and I look around and all I see is dark folks being miserable. I ain't seen them in the last 500 years raised up and saved by no Jesus. Matter of fact, I see more Christ people who are Christians, doing more evil and wickedness around this planet. I've seen the name of Jesus used to butcher, murder, destroy. Wait a minute, let me say this finish. This particular thing called Jesus, or let's just take it outside the realm of Jesus. Let's take it into religion as a context, as a psychosocial context. That has shed more rivers of blood, misery, and madness on this planet than any other act of war or violence that man has ever witnessed upon itself. Religion is the pyra. It is the cancer of our consciousness.
Did you get anything good out of this?
What did I get out of religion?
You believe in God, right?
No, I don't believe in anything.
But
That's
there is
the
a
thing that
God.
we have a problem.
There is a God.
Ah, let's investigate what God is. What is your perception of God? We have to understand that God is not what they tell us God is. God is something you become revealed unto, not what is told to you. Everything in Christianity is told to you. Let me just say something. I got to
Made in the
lay
image
something
of
down.
God.
Let me lay something down to you. The reason why the people who are going to be looking at this program are going to run to their preachers and tell everybody what they heard is because they are ignorant of certain facts. Now, ignorance and stupidity are not
Be
the
nice,
same
be
thing.
nice.
No. Ignorance is not stupidity.
Soft pedal.
I don't have to soft pedal anything. The preachers are shouting and yelling and screaming all these lies from the pulpit. Why should I start whispering? Let me say this to you. I have no problem with the people who are searching for truth. What I do have a problem is the people who pretend to have the truth and then mask and destroy all other venues for finding that truth. Let me just say some things to you. Let me put it down on the record for everybody. And this is out of a book. By the way, for all the people who are interested, I'm going to be holding a seminar on the 27th of this month. This being what, June?
June.
June the 27th. And they need to call a number, and that is 212-678-0296. The name of the gentleman is called Brother Big Man. He is sponsoring this at the Fort Greene Senior Citizen Center in Brooklyn on the 27th of this month. And I will be discussing the name of that particular seminar will be called The Vampires of Consciousness. And it is the true history of Christianity, Roman Catholicism, and the destruction of free thought. And I will show by history, I will bring facts to bear. I will bring the actual writings of the Council of Nicaea. I will bring the actual writings of the bishops and the popes who were the founders of the Christianity that everyone today practices. I don't care what
How
Christianity.
far back are we going?
We're going back to the year 1 that they call it. Let's go back even further than that. Let's go back to 21,000 BC. Let's go back there. Let's go back to the point where Christianity itself began to be formulated as a collective consciousness. The reason why I'm saying this to all people who are Christians is that I don't care what denomination of Christianity you deal from. And this is not me castigating you or arguing with you or decrying what you're doing. It is time to wake up. I don't care.
You as a Christian, you as an ex-Christian.
I as a man. Let us get past that. I as a man. I am not either Christian. Don't call me anything other than being
But
a man.
you were raised as a Christian.
I was raised as what my mother taught me. And, and I have said,
I
and
just
my
want to
father.
follow. I want to follow where in your at what point in life did you discover?
Let me say this. I don't care what form of Christianity we deal with. And that comes from Jehovah's Witness, Presbyterian, Episcopal, even Rastafari.
Ethiopian Coptic.
Copts. Well, the Copts have a whole other form.
Ethiopian Coptic.
Okay, a whole other form. Okay, if they are dealing with the Bible as it has come out of the Roman Church, then they too are using the delusion.
The King James Version.
The King James Version, or any version that speaks to what our ancient ancestors put down as myth. And they literalized myth and gave it a historical fact and anthropomorphized principles into men. When you understand how the Roman Church had 1,000, 1,500 years to play with ancient history. Remember, it was as soon as Roman Catholicism came to bear, as soon as the Roman Church came to power, at the end of the Roman dynasties.
300?
No. I'm talking about around the so-called year 1. Let's talk about the year 1 when they started establishing the Roman Church. That's the time of the decline of the Roman Empire.
Okay.
With the decline of the Roman Empire came the rise of the Roman Church. Okay? So the Roman Church now began to destroy all other forms of learning, all other forms of information and ancient history where it began to extrapolate all of its principles from. And a reason why I wanted to put down a few things here so that those who wanted to deal with whether or not I knew what I was talking about as far as history is concerned, I will give them ways to go and search for that history. Instead of just us speaking back and forth from a book that we have no true knowledge of. No one is speaking about the key. Is the Bible. We do not read the Bible with the key. And there is a key to the Bible. It has nothing to do with people that lived at that time. These people were all principles. They were either names borrowed from histories that did not belong to Christianity or to the Jews, or they were actually added in much later on by the people who were authoring the edited version that you got as the Christian Bible.
Where did the Ethiopian Coptic Church come in?
Well, the Ethiopian Coptic Church essentially came to power during the time of Alexander. Okay?
Which is 700 BC?
Around 700, but even around, no, a little later, about 700 BC, around that time, a little bit after that. But you have to remember that the Coptic Church, or Copts, at that point, coming out of Abyssinia, not Ethiopia. Ethiopia was the Greek name given to it, land of the blacks.
Right.
All that information had to do with solar and astronomical principles. There is no person or personages that we're speaking about. This sun god that this Jesus was actually the story of the sun god taken from the ancient Hindus that were ripped off and brought west from the east. Extrapolated, taken, the whole heroic situation. Matter of fact, this is why I need to put down a few things first. A full and correct account of the birth and the reign of Christianity can never be written because its fraudulent nature caused the founding fathers to destroy all the records. These records showed the true beginnings of what amounts to being the greatest spiritual, psychological, and ecumenical fraud of all time. Now, that's very hard to say to most people because most people are so comfortable within the confines of the religion that was given to them for their comfort.
Now, you're telling me that there's not even that there's no Santa Claus, but there's no such thing as Christmas, and Christ was never born. And
the actual choosing of the date for Christ, this is the thing
Is
about
that
it.
what you're saying?
Right, right. The actual date for Christ was actually put together by a man called, let me give you his name.
Yeah. Do we have a call-in number ready? I'm sure a lot of people are curious about this.
The name of the man who fixed the date for the birth of Christ, and this was taken out of the book called The Dictionary of Symbolic Masonry by George Oliver. And he said the birth of Christ did not happen was not fixed until 532 AD.
and it was fixed by a person named Dionysius Exiguus. He was a Scythian by birth, who became a Roman abbot. All right? And this was also to begin at the time, or was also fixed ecumenically and by canon law by Pope Gregory II in AD 730. Now, there was no birth of Jesus. Nobody had the birth of a Christ. As a matter of fact, in the lecture that I'm about to give you on the 27th, I will show that all the writings of Christianity, the first writings of the so-called fathers of Christianity, had no mention of this person called Jesus Christ being the Son of any God. And all they wrote about was specific principles that they had learned from the East, and how that Son God and all of the stories of the Son God played into the divinity of man. Not the divinity of something outside of man, but the divinity of man as God.
Question. Now, is this why most Jews don't believe in Jesus?
Of course, because the Pope is Jewish.